Live and alive. Oh, my hair looks terrible. Good thing nobody's here yet. All right, nobody's in here. Nobody's here. Nobody's in the chat. We're going for it. All right, sports fans, welcome back to the Jungle Auburn podcast. We are coming off an 83-73 win, a 10-point victory over the NC State Wolfpack. I am your host, Ben. Here a few days late because I'm on vacation. The boys are on vacation. It's the holiday season. And you know what? The Tigers' discipline, especially with handling the ball, also seem to be taking the holidays off. Not a great key in heading into a matchup with number two Arizona tomorrow night on Saturday. But Auburn got the victory. It allowed the SEC to reach 9-7 record overall in the ACC SEC Challenge back-to-back years. The SEC reigns supreme in the challenge. We took on NC State and Will Wade in his return to Neville Arena. And man, it was a sloppy game all around. But you know, the Jungle Auburn podcast always wants to start with the MVP discussion. And there are two prime contenders. Stop me if you've heard this before. Keyshawn Hall, offensively, absolutely out of his mind once again. 28-10, just continues to put up Janai Broom-like numbers on the offensive end, grabbing rebounds. It's another 25 point plus double double. He was great from the floor, 9 of 14, perhaps even better, blistering from the 3 point line, 5 of 7 from deep. In fact, Auburn had its best 3 point shooting game of the season. We'll talk about that when we get to team stats. Keyshawn Hall also only had 1 assist tonight. The ball movement was not great for him. He was 5 of 5 from the free throw line. That's a big deal for me. But if Matt were here, he would want to talk about the glaring number in the turnover column. Keyshawn Hall accounted for 6 of Auburn's, I'm not going to spoil it yet, but massive number of turnovers. So in my opinion, it's hard to give Keyshawn Hall the MVP this go around, in part because his performance was overshadowed by super senior Kevin Overton with a career high 29 points, 8 of 3 from the field, 6 of 9 from deep, and 7 of 7 from the free throw lines. He just missed out on having a double-double with 9 rebounds. No assists for him, but no turnovers in 37 minutes of play. Kevin Overton played nearly the entire game without turning the ball over, just shooting the lights out, and perfect from the free throw line. And between those two guys, I don't think it's much of a contest. You get a career high, you don't turn the ball over, you hit 6 of 9 from deep. It's got to be the Texas Tech transfer, Kevin Overton. We've talked about Kevin Overton a little bit on this podcast about how he's been such a valuable closer for this team as a senior and as even a ball handler. I mean, we've seen him play a little bit of point guard at times when we're trying to move Todd Pettiford into more of a scoring option. And I forgot to share the Ferg box score, so you have something to look at besides just me. And his steady hand, particularly late in games, has been so important. But the way Auburn started this game off, I think we missed 5 of our first 6 free throws or field goals. Might have been 6 of 7 of our first field goals. And that didn't matter. The slow start, we were able to overcome it, in part thanks to blistering 3 point shooting. But Kevin Overton was not just solid at the end of this game. He was solid at the beginning of the first half, or beginning of the second half, beginning of the final 8. I mean, he was just electric, hitting big shots when we need him. It was a game of runs. Auburn and NC State both had kill shots in the first half. Auburn was up 35-41, so just 6 points at the break. NC State at one point went on a 9-0 run in the second half to get it down to a single possession before Kevin Overton hit a layup to sort of break and stem the bleeding there. And we really relied on our guys. Auburn only played 9 players today, including a disastrous 2-minute rotation from Blake Michalek. I'm sorry, 21. I know you're a fan favorite. I know the guys love you, but what a liability 21 has continued to be for this team against top end competition. And particularly in a game in which NC State was already undersized, it was surprising that we did not get more of Emeka Oporum, but they were such a fast cutting team. We didn't even get that much of Keyshawn Murphy. Some of that may have been minutes management because, again, we relied on him pretty heavily in the Players Era tournament. We're going to rely on him in a big way on Saturday against Arizona. Keyshawn Murphy only played 15 minutes, but we got no Big Mac minutes. Sebastian Williams-Adams, on the other hand, 27 minutes and a pretty good ball game from him. He was 3 of 3 from the floor. He only grabbed 1 rebound, which is a little disappointing. We'll talk about the rebounds here in a minute. But he had 4 assists. He actually led the team in assists. No other player had more than 1. And the downside of that, Sebastian Williams-Adams had 3 turnovers. I mean, NC State was in our passing lanes pretty much nonstop. You could tell the style of defense that they wanted to play is that Will Wade aggressive, active hands defense. We struggled with that a little bit. Some of that was being at home and just being a little nonchalant against an underwhelming team. NC State was ranked prior to the Maui Invitational, in which they lost 1 of 2 games, and now they're an unranked team. This is actually a quad 2 opportunity for us in the net standings. Those just came out. Auburn is currently outside of the top 25 in the net. We got a big opportunity on Saturday to begin to climb our way up there. We'll see what happens. But against an undersized NC State team, with Keyshawn Murphy only playing 15 minutes, with Emeka Oporum, our big 7-footer, not playing at all, we only out-rebounded them 35-22. Now, that's plus 13 on the glass. That's pretty good. But in a dominant win, especially a 10-point win, you typically want to see your team get around 40 rebounds or so. That lets you know that you're really hustling out there. You're moving hard. But the majority of our rebounds were defensive rebounds. If you can see the Ferg stat column there, 30 of those 35 rebounds came on the defensive glass. And that's in part because we just didn't miss a lot of shots. Auburn shot 59% from the floor, absolutely blistering. And perhaps best of all, 86% from the free throw line. We had a fantastic free throw shooting performance. We had a fantastic 3-point shooting performance, 12 of 22. That is good for 86%. 55% from 3. And we had a lot of guys get involved in that. We had Kevin Overton, 6 of 9. We had Keyshawn Hall, 5 of 7. Oh, no, we actually didn't have a lot of guys get involved in that. It was mainly those 2. But for what I believe is now the 5th straight game, Keyshawn Murphy comes in and hits a brilliant 3-pointer. He continues to hit 1 to 2 of those a game, really filling in that Janai Broom role of having the 5 out, who's still a threat from outside. So when we get into that flex rotation and bring our 5 all the way to the top of the key, you have to bring your big guy out there to guard him. And I think that's what's freeing us up for a lot of those one-on-ones, the driving, the cutting action, the flex cut, which obviously Keyshawn Hall was great with tonight, including that stretch for going out to the wing and hitting those 3-point shots. Absolutely huge. Again, pretty brilliant offensive performance, except for the turnovers. Auburn had 20 turnovers in this game. Let me say that again. Auburn had 20 turnovers in this game. Now, typically, when you turn the ball over 20 times, you don't win the ball game. We were helped out by the fact that we held NC State to only 22 points off of those turnovers. That's barely more than 1 point per turnover, meaning we didn't let it affect us. That, to me, at least says that there's some high-end energy there of the guys continuing to fight and battle even after the ball is not gone their way. They've been a little sloppy with it. NC State was pretty good on the trap. I don't know why we continue to not be ready for the trap. And tonight, our response to that was actually to have Sebastian Williams-Adams bring the ball up a lot out of that break. And for a guy that's 6'8", pretty nice handles. I expect that to be something that we see quite a bit going forward. I think Sebastian Williams-Adams in the open court against a lot of 4s and 5s that he's going to see, he's going to be a little bit more athletic than a lot of them and able to at least get that ball across the line and help break the press. It's going to be a big deal going forward. We didn't get a ton of offensive effort out of Filip Jovic tonight. Only 1 of 1 from the floor. He had a pretty good dunk early. He was our first field goal made of the game that took nearly 5 minutes. It was 4 minutes and I believe 40 seconds for Auburn to hit a field goal. We had some free throws early, but man, there was a lid on the basket early for this team. He did once again have 3 personal fouls. Foul trouble continues to be a struggle for him. Keyshawn Murphy and Sebastian Williams-Adams had a much better game in that regard, not picking up too many fouls. We didn't have anybody really in danger of foul trouble, which was great. But again, just like the turnovers, it was so hard to watch knowing what's coming up tomorrow night when we go to Tucson to take on the number 2 ranked Arizona Wildcats. So there's not a lot I feel like you can take from this game. When you have a shooting performance like this, it's going to be hard for a lot of teams to beat Auburn in Devil Arena. The home energy is there. We're firing on all cylinders. But again, you look up here in that upper right-hand corner, 0 field goals in the last 3 minutes and 35 seconds. We played some pretty good lockdown defense at the end, but our lockdown offense, completely not there. And like I said, we only played 9 men in the rotation. Todd Pettiford, Kevin Overton, and Keyshawn Hall all played 30-plus minutes. We're going to ride our guys a lot this season. I think that bench is going to continue to get shorter and shorter. Caden Magwood only played an 8-minute rotation tonight. Only had about 2 turns in there, really trying to run that point guard. A lot of it was missed defensive assignments. We ask so much of our point guards. And even though Caden Magwood was a very highly regarded recruit coming in, I think there's still going to be a little bit of a learning curve. You just hope to see him catch up by the time we get to conference play and actually be able to give us some of those valuable minutes. And the last thing we got to talk about before we go tonight is the continued struggles of Todd Pettiford inside of Neville Arena. I mean, just another brutal shooting night for him. 1 of 7 from the floor, 0 of 3 from deep, didn't hit a single three-pointer. Thankfully, this time he finally stopped trying to shoot us out of the game and let Kevin and Keyshawn really take over from the deep spot. 6 points for him, but 1 assist, 3 rebounds, 4 turnovers. So our 2 arguably best players, Keyshawn Hall and Todd Pettiford, combined for 10 of our 20 turnovers. It's just not good basketball. And particularly when you look at the assist column, 10 assists to 20 turnovers, 10 assists on 26 made baskets. It's just not winning basketball the way the ball is moving right now. Some of that is still a lot of these guys adjusting to their roles. We're trying to figure out who fits where. I think that's part of the reason why the rotation has been so short, trying to find out who you can rely on at specific positions, what the rotations have got to look like when that first troop comes out. If you remember last year, we would rotate 1 through 4. Well, I guess it was technically 1 through 3 and 5 because Cardwell started the 5 and leave Janai Broom out there on the floor with a whole second platoon. And it was like, all right, now it's time to feed number 4. We don't really have that on this team. The solution has been when we need a bucket to feed 7, have them go inside and attack the rack. Todd Pettiford was 4 of 5 from the free throw line, so much better free throw shooting from him than we've seen this season, which was nice. He's going to continue to, I think, need to pick up a lot of his points at the line until he can get his 3-point shooting figured out. It continues to be sort of hit or miss, up and down for him. We'll see what it looks like in Arizona. He's going to continue to be undersized as we play this top-tier competition, so he's going to have some opportunity to create space and shoot from deep. Hopefully, he can continue to find his stroke. Hopefully, Keyshawn Murphy continues to get more healthy. Hopefully, Keyshawn Hall continues to get more healthy. I mean, we are just putting minutes on those legs. He's already had a rolled ankle this year that he came back from pretty quickly. But my opinion was, and I think Ike Jones from War Report kind of shared this post-Players Era tournament, it was affecting him a little bit on the defensive end. He was sort of taking his defensive time off. And, Stephen Pearl hates to see that. But when you need a bucket, you need Big 7 out there on the floor. Abdul Bashir missed time with illness injury. It may have been the same for Emeka, just trying to get those guys healthy as we're trying to turn the calendar over and get through the end of the year here. So it's going to be interesting to see what the rotations look like against Arizona. If I'm Stephen Pearl, you've still got another opportunity down the road, sort of a neutral site game in Indianapolis against the Purdue Boilermakers, neutral in the same way that them coming to Birmingham was last year. It's going to be a very, very Purdue-heavy crowd. I think if Auburn wants to protect itself from the rigors of this up-and-down SEC season, we've got 2 big games left against Arizona and Purdue, both in the top 3, both going to be real hard to win, both away from Neville Arena. But I think if you pick up one of those, that's going to go a long way towards securing your spot in the NCAA tournament and protecting yourself from some potential bad losses that this team may have. We've seen it all year with this team. The highs, super high. Competitive against Houston, a 6-point flip to give yourself a chance to win the game. A great second half against Oregon. A fantastic second half against St. John's. And then you've seen the downs. You watched Michigan absolutely beat the brakes off this team. I think if NC State had a little bit more size, NC State really could have put up a fight and possibly stolen this game from Auburn, which is a position you really don't want to be in, losing quad two games at home. But so far, I think this has still been a very successful season for what has been a complete roster overhaul, and not to mention a complete coaching overhaul with Stephen Pearl taking over the helm. I'm pretty proud of these guys. I'm pretty excited to watch them step up to the challenge against Arizona. Don't forget, folks, we used to pray for times like these where little Auburn could get marquee matchups against the blue bloods of college basketball. Arizona, perennial powerhouse from the West Coast. It has been so exciting the last 2 years to watch Auburn's name appear next to these big time programs. And that's continuing. And hopefully it's going to continue throughout Stephen Pearl's tenure with the Auburn Tigers, that we have good basketball programs that want Auburn on the schedule, because a victory over Auburn makes them look better. But folks, I'm on vacation. The boys are whatever the opposite of back in town is. So that's all we've got for you for the Jungle Podcast. Hopefully you can listen to this one as you're getting ready for the Arizona game tomorrow night, and get tuned up to watch Auburn bring home a big victory. War Eagle.